Imagine for a moment that everything you struggle with a very fear, every self-doubt isn't merely an obstacle to overcome, but a map leading you to your true purpose. What if the answers to who you are and what you're meant to do lie in the very parts of yourself you've tried to ignore, suppress, or deny? Today, we'll explore one of the most transformative concepts in psychology and philosophy, Carl Jung's theory of the shadow. This isn't just about abstract ideas, it's about uncovering profound truths that can reshape your life. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand your shadow, but also discover how it holds the secret to your purpose, potential, and freedom. What is the shadow? Carl Jung, a pioneer of depth psychology, believed that the shadow is the unconscious part of ourselves that we reject or disown. It consists of all the traits, desires, and aspects of our personality that we consider unacceptable or shameful. Yet paradoxically, this very shadow contains the seeds of our greatest strengths and the blueprint for a fulfilling life. Think about it. How often do we avoid certain thoughts or behaviors because they make us uncomfortable? How often do we judge others for traits we secretly recognize in ourselves? If you've ever caught yourself reacting strongly to someone else's actions, there's a good chance it's because they've touched a part of your own shadow. Jung himself once wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The shadow isn't just about darkness, it's about potential. It's about the energy we bury because we're too afraid or ashamed to face it. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Are there parts of yourself that you try to keep hidden from others or even from yourself? Perhaps it's a fear of failure, a deep-seated anger, or a persistent envy. Maybe it's a passion or desire you've convinced yourself is impractical or wrong. What if these aspects of yourself weren't flaws to be eradicated, but messages waiting to be understood? Jung believed that by confronting our shadow, we can integrate it into our conscious awareness, leading to what he called individuation, a process of becoming whole. This isn't easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to step into the unknown, but the rewards are immeasurable. Jung described individuation as the journey of discovering who you truly are, not just the persona you show to the world, but the complete and authentic self that includes both light and shadow. He argued that our greatest growth comes not from rejecting our shadow, but from embracing it. Consider this. Every hero in mythology faces a moment of confrontation with their own darkness. Think of the Greek hero Hercules, who had to face not only external monsters but also his own rage and flaws. Or Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, who had to confront the darkness within himself before he could truly become a Jedi. These stories mirror our own psychological journeys. The question is, are you willing to take that first step? Are you ready to look at the parts of yourself you've been running from and ask, what are you trying to teach me? Jung's philosophy teaches us that our shadow isn't an enemy but a guide. It whispers to us through our dreams, our fears, and even our relationships. Have you ever had a recurring dream or felt an inexplicable pull toward a particular idea or person? These may be the signs of your shadow trying to communicate. The process of working with your shadow begins with awareness. Pay attention to the emotions and reactions that feel disproportionate or intense. These are often clues to the aspects of yourself that you've hidden away. Once you identify these traits, the next step is acceptance. This doesn't mean acting on every impulse or indulging every desire. It means acknowledging these parts of yourself without judgment and understanding their role in your life. Imagine how liberating it would be to no longer fear your flaws, but instead see them as tools for growth. Think of how much more authentic and confident you could become by embracing your whole self. One of the most compelling examples of shadow work is the idea of projection. Jung argued that when we disown parts of ourselves, we often see those traits in others, amplifying our reactions to them. For instance, if you struggle with feelings of inadequacy, you might criticize others who seem overconfident or dismiss those who excel in areas where you feel insecure. This isn't just a psychological quirk, it's a mirror. The world reflects back to us the parts of ourselves that we have yet to acknowledge. Jung explained it this way. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. Take a moment to reflect. Is there someone in your life who triggers a strong emotional response? Perhaps it's a colleague, a friend, or even a family member. Instead of focusing on their behavior, ask yourself, what does this reaction reveal about me? What part of my shadow am I projecting onto them? This isn't about self-blame, it's about self-discovery. Each projection is an opportunity to reclaim a piece of yourself and bring it into the light of awareness. Often, the parts of ourselves we suppress are closely tied to our unique gifts and passions. For example, someone who suppresses their creativity out of fear of failure may find that embracing this suppressed side leads them to their life's work. Jung believed that purpose isn't something we find externally, it's something we uncover internally. It's about aligning with our authentic self, which includes both the light and the shadow. In his words, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But how do we begin this process of alignment? It starts with self-inquiry. Ask yourself questions that challenge your assumptions about who you are. What do I fear most about myself? What have I been told is unacceptable about me? What passions or dreams have I abandoned because they felt impractical or unworthy? Write these down and reflect on them. You might be surprised at what emerges when you give your shadow a voice. Another powerful tool for shadow work is journaling. Jung himself kept extensive journals, using them to explore his unconscious mind. He often encouraged his patients to write down their dreams, as dreams are a direct line to the unconscious. Pay attention to recurring themes or symbols in your dreams, and ask yourself, what message might my unconscious be trying to convey? Now let's consider the transformative power of integrating the shadow. Imagine a painter who refuses to use dark colors in their work. Their paintings may be beautiful, but they lack depth and contrast. When we embrace our shadow, we become like an artist who uses the full spectrum of colors, light and dark, to create a masterpiece. Integration doesn't mean acting on every dark impulse or letting the shadow dominate your life. Instead, it means understanding and accepting these aspects as part of your humanity. This acceptance fosters compassion not only for yourself but also for others. You begin to see that everyone carries a shadow, and this shared experience connects us on a profound level. The journey to embrace your shadow is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong process. It requires patience, courage, and a commitment to self-growth. But the rewards are immense. You gain clarity about your purpose, a deeper sense of inner peace, and the ability to live authentically. Shadow work in relationships. The shadow doesn't just influence your inner world, it shapes how you interact with others. Often, unresolved aspects of your shadow manifest as conflict or tension in relationships. Have you ever been in a situation where you repeatedly clash with someone over the same issue? Or perhaps you've noticed patterns in your relationships, like attracting the same type of partner or facing similar challenges. Jung believed that relationships act as mirrors, reflecting our unconscious back to us. When you feel triggered by someone, it's often because they embody a trait or behavior that resonates with your own shadow. By becoming aware of this dynamic, you can transform conflict into growth. Instead of blaming or resenting the other person, ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me about myself? This shift in perspective not only deepens your self-awareness, but also fosters compassion and understanding. Creativity and purpose. Tapping into untapped potential. Jung argued that the shadow isn't just a container for negative traits, it's also the source of untapped potential. The energy you use to suppress your shadow can be redirected into creative pursuits. For example, suppressed anger might become a driving force for advocacy or social change. A hidden desire for attention could fuel artistic expression or public speaking. When you integrate your shadow, you reclaim the energy that was once spent hiding it, allowing you to channel it into pursuits that align with your authentic self.